I think I can best summarize my experience watching F the Prom by the Fine Brothers with the very first note I took down while I was watching it. There we go. It took this movie 1 minute and 26 seconds to piss me off. So I watched F the Prom a couple days ago, and I've come to the profound decision that I'm gonna take a break from watching YouTuber movies for about a week or so. F the Prom is written, directed, and produced by the Fine Brothers, so there is no corporate shenanigans here. This is the complete creative vision of the brothers Fine. You remember the Fine Brothers, you know, they were the guys who tried to copyright the React genre of video on YouTube, the most cookie cutter, easy to make videos on the entire platform. They tried to copyright that entire genre. When I heard that these two boring gombeans were being gifted a director's, writer's, and producer's chair on an actual motion picture, my hopes weren't exactly the highest. At least with Laid in America, I know KSI is funny, and he might make the movie somewhat bearable. That, and they also had a bit of Hollywood backing with Universal. They weren't just making their own production company, like Fine Brothers Entertainment. I think it's laughable that when I search F the Prom, the full movie comes up in 720p quality right at the very top of the search bar. Like, directly below it, I can spend a tenner on the movie. Who in their right mind is going to do that? And even though I got to watch it for free, I still sat down for a whopping hour and 30 minutes, which is literally just about long enough for it to qualify as a movie and not a short film. And I'm honestly having to Google some of the character names. Like, I'm just looking down through my script, and I've actually left out our female lead. I've left out her name. Of course, I have F the Prom characters. Maddie, that's her name. It's Maddie. Okay, we'll put that in there. So the film starts with our two lead characters, Cole and Maddie. The two of them are middle school best friends, and now they're moving into high school. Oh boy, we're already getting a cookie cutter story, aren't we? Cole becomes a loser named Whitey because his pants get pulled down. Jesus Christ. And Maddie becomes popular. Whoa. This is a twist I never could have ever seen coming. 1 minute and 26 seconds into this film, Cole's really creepy sex addict dad tells Cole to, and I quote,
"Stop trying to peek at Maddie's nipples." Oh my god, Dad!
Now, when you do a bit of Googling, as I did, because surprisingly enough, I don't know the American education system, you find out that at the time of this flashback, this character is 14. Oh, for Christ. As well as that, the opening credits are littered with emojis, and they're all typed out like it's a text message. Like, you can see backspaces. This is what happens when you get a hack writer who wants to write a hashtag relatable high school movie, but he himself hasn't been to school for the last 20 years, so he has to act like he knows what's happening, and winds up just boiling teenagers down to either bullies, losers, and everyone of course is addicted to their phones, because when you boil teenagers down, all there really is just a couple of emojis and Twitter fingers. The plot moves at such a breakneck speed, which would be fine if you had a longer runtime so you could actually flesh out the characters and understand what makes them tick, but every scene that has purpose is either undercut by a really poor joke or even worse writing, or it's far too short to leave any lasting impact, and it just ends up coming completely out of left field. So Maddie finds her friend kissing her boyfriend in a public hallway in the school, because subtlety, it doesn't exist when the Fine Brothers are around. This Marissa girl ends up becoming the antagonist. Her motivations are actually fairly well set up in a later scene with Maddie, and she makes a good point that Maddie was a fairly toxic friend anyway. But if you're just going to have Marissa go back to being an absolute knob, like 1 minute later, it doesn't make me root for her or make me root for our leads. I just don't care about any characters.
What about giving me an eating disorder by yelling, delete it, fat, anytime I post a bikini pic on Instagram?
So why are you doing this now?
I know how much being crowned queen means to you, which only makes me want it more. And me with Kane equals prom queen. Pidge. Now just reflect and listen to my urine hit the water.
Maddie reunites and teams up with Cole again and Cole's friend. Speaking of this friend, the first scene we get of this friend and Cole together, they're talking in a class and they're the only people talking and everyone can hear their conversations.
Like you're innocent. I know you still talk to Maddie sometimes.
Yeah, and I self-loathe for it. I look at myself in the mirror and say, stupid bitch, she stole your boyfriend! I am running at lines for play.
Clearly, the Fine Brothers didn't realize that just makes the entire world feel like it's revolving around the characters rather than our characters are part of the world that they're set in. But again, what is subtlety? The plot then sees Maddie and Cole round up all these loser characters who all get sad and very long backstory montages to hype assembling a gang type music for some reason. Maddie then plans the whole thing out, but then she decides she wants to go to prom. So Cole takes her, but they're purposely trying to ruin the event, and if Maddie wants to get her dream of being prom queen, then she herself is going to have her night off. I can't be. Then Maddie's ex breaks up with Marissa and tries to get back with Maddie, so Marissa tries to shag Cole in a really uncomfortable scene in a janitor's closet.
Besides, she just wants to go as friends. On the other hand, if you go with me, I'll make it very worth your while. Let me take off those tighty whities.
So Maddie comes up with this big brain plan to get Marissa and Cole to go together so she can go with her ex, who's also Cole's bully. Like, she then gets annoyed that Cole's annoyed with her.
Nothing to you?
No, I just decided I'm not gonna let petty revenge get in the way of me having the prom that I've always wanted.
Yeah, but with the guy that ruined high school for me, that guy!
I don't expect you to understand. I just want to go to prom with my boyfriend and take pictures and enjoy the last moment of high school like any other normal kid. Yeah, it's cliche, but I don't care. Everything about high school is cliche.
He has every right in the world to be annoyed with you. You've just completely blown him off, you knob. Not in that way. Simmer down, lads. So Cole and his gang ruined the night anyway by putting up fake nudes of a guy on a PowerPoint presentation in front of the entire school and spiking people's... Am I seriously meant to be rooting for these people? And since the rest of the group is extremely angry at Maddie because she went back to her cool friends again, they quite literally tar and feather her when she becomes prom queen. You know that punishment from the American Civil War? Christ. Maddie obviously flips out at Cole, even though he was the one that said that they shouldn't tar and feather Maddie. Even though, as well as that, she's the one that's been a tool the whole movie. And then Cole gets pantsed again. But it's fine, because much like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, he makes his final stand and he delivers a rousing speech about how a prom bad, popularity bad, technology bad because it causes cyberbullying. And then he says this line.
So yeah, we ruined your night. So what? We didn't shoot up the school. None of us committed suicide. Even though we may have thought of it just because of the way you treat us.
I'm sorry now. Surely it's not exactly wrong of me to think this is a little bit out of left field, right? Like, he just comes out of nowhere with this school shooter comment, and every other character in this setting, all of whom were bullying him literally 2 minutes prior, are just won over at the drop of a hat as a result, because he says, "What's up with that?" and makes a school shooter comment. This is literally the exact same resolution of conflict, albeit a little bit more mature. than Shrek the Third. Then Maddie makes it up to Cole by getting him into his art school. He very briefly mentioned at the beginning of the story, and like at 2 seconds at a time every 20 minutes. Like, it seemed as though neither himself nor any other character in the movie really gave a toss about his motivations. They make out in a moment which is preceded by some of the worst dialogue ever written in a motion picture that somehow isn't the worst piece of dialogue written in this movie.
It says you love me. Is that real or is that just the story?
It's not fiction.
And then the movie ends. Sick. There's your plot synopsis. Who cares? Let's move on to these goddamn characters. The characters in this movie are whatever the script needs them to be. They're caring when they're caring. They're rude when they're rude. They are complete knobs when they need to be. Whatever plot beat is happening ends up dictating how our characters behave, and it leads us to never really know who the people are or if we're even meant to be rooting for them. Our main character Cole is just a guy and he's a loser, and he has only one friend at the beginning, which isn't Maddie. He's a complete yes man in this movie, and he never like fully makes a decision on his own. He's always swayed by another character. Even when Maddie tells him, even when Maddie decides to go with her ex instead of going with Cole, when he should have every reason in the world to just go ahead with the plan, he doesn't. He needs his dad to tell him. Like, he has no actual backbone or thought for himself. He takes no initiative with the plot, and he just ends up being a completely reactive protagonist. Maddie is just popular, but she's also quite mean throughout this whole film, and then every so often they decide to throw in a scene where she delivers some speech about how she's grateful for everyone, which really falls flat because we can clearly see that she doesn't even know what she wants. As mentioned earlier, the two of them, along with Friend, gain a massive motley crew of the most stereotypical cast members of all time. Guys, these are losers. Let's prove it. Here's fat and quiet and emo and religious, and now, because it's 2017, let's mock someone for being gay. Epic. I don't understand how or why these guys could get away with making the conventionally attractive character in this movie gay. And, like, that in itself is perfectly fine. I have no problems with it. But why do they make him obsessed with shagging? Instead of making him a character with traits, a personality of his own, some ambition, some, like, maybe he wants to be treated as an equal on his basketball team, which he clearly isn't. Nah, he just wants to shag every male character. Sick. Like, you think I'm joking? I'm genuinely not. If you want to watch this movie, it's free on YouTube, but just watch him. He'll just ask people to shag all the time. While I'm mentioning it, I may as well talk about how the majority of the side characters are obsessed with shagging. Cole's dad tries to hit on Maddie despite her being like 20 years younger than him. Like, listen to these comments that he makes about her.
I know this is inappropriate, but I bet that girl's killer in the sack.
He's a really uncomfortable character to watch, but to be fair, at the end of the movie, the writers actually try and make him complex. It doesn't work. He does attempt to talk and connect with his son, and while it doesn't land like 99.999999969% of all things in this movie because of the hack writing and broken dialogue, at least an attempt was made. The same can't be said for this principal, who is completely, absolutely irredeemable. It says a lot when the first thing that she does is refer to a school full of pupils, about 75% of which being below the age of 18, as sexy young things. Sorry, mate. Kind of warrant you being on a register. She also says this.
I say, get a senior to take you.
It's only statutory if you get caught.
What? What the fuck?
Was it meant to be funny? Because it really isn't. It's honestly just really uncomfortable. was there really much need? Benny and other fine brother, was there any need to make the principal wear like really low cut clothes and act like, I don't use this word lightly, just act like a complete whore? To be honest, one thing I can commend this movie for is the total lack of YouTuber cameos. Late in America took as many opportunities as possible to throw in YouTubers, like here's Taste on Day, here's Gabby Hanna, here's Deji, but it's a bit more restrained with this movie. Instead, we get Lily Singh. Too bad Lily Singh is a disease in human form. Now, you may notice I'm basically just showing off about 30 seconds worth of footage here when I'm talking about her character, but that's because that's all the time she gets, and she manages to instantly become my least favorite character in any movie ever. Her delivery is trash, her jokes are Lele Pons-esque, if not worse. I'm genuinely not even kidding. I'm going to put a little like compilation at the end of this review of all the clunky lines of dialogue, and you'll see that every single line she says is in that. To be honest, this movie is saved by the brief moments, and when I say brief, I mean brief moments of actual character work, where we see some slight modicum of care and effort put in. Benny Fine seems like he somewhat cares about movies from the interviews I've seen him in, and I'm sure he probably wanted to make something decent, but I honestly just reckon he isn't capable of it. He was too focused on adding jokes and still managed to make a movie where he forgot Le Funny. The writing in this movie is absolutely laughable. I'm gonna put a little compilation here of all the lines that made me fold like an omelette while I was watching, because to be honest, I can't be bothered to waste my breath repeating them.
Now go ahead and take out your phones and use them in ways your parents and I will never understand.
You mad, bro?
WTF!
Hi, DK.
Laughing out loud.
It's not fiction. Okay, but I've never done that before.
Wait, you're a selfie virgin? A surgeon?
Did you guys see Maddie's eyebrows from last weekend? Oh, on fleek. Oh, yeah, I know that play, okay? I lived that play.
Got it.
The losers! Don't hang out with the losers!
So, by YouTuber standards, how does this movie fare out? It's still really bad, just like all the rest of them. To be honest, is it as bad as Late in America? Yeah. Is it as bad as Fred? No. I honestly may end up having to go back to the Fred franchise in order to find one that will be worse than Fred. So, as I said at the beginning, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from YouTuber movies for like a week or two. Main reason being I don't think I can sit through many more of them. But for the next video, we're gonna dig out a cult classic. And it's this. Oh, we're in for a long video, boys.